Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Katie and I make book-related videos every single Wednesday, and I don't know why I said that intro just then because this video is not book-related whatsoever. Although I will point out that my next video is definitely going to be a review of The Devil in Nanking. Terrifying book cover, I know, but I just finished this. Absolutely loved it, so my next video will definitely be a spoiler-free review of this, so definitely look out for that. But in this video I essentially want to talk about how we decide and select which type of job and career path we want to go down, and whether I or you guys decide what you want to do for the sort of singularly because it's something you know you'll enjoy, or because of the safety and comfort and maybe money that it provides. So that's what I want to talk about because I'm personally right now having a crisis about that. I also have some Franzia boxed wine with me just because it's 4:36 p.m. It's more or less 5 on a Tuesday. I think this is fine. Before I get into that, I did want to point out, I know I said I'd film a Miami vlog because over 4th of July weekend, I had my birthday. I went down to Miami with a couple friends and also met up with Alex from View from the Bar. And I said multiple times I was going to film a vlog. A lot of you guys were saying you really wanted to see me and Alex film something together, and none of that happened. By none of that happened, I just mean the filming part of things. So I did film some clips here and there, but overall I was a terrible vlogger and didn't really vlog anything. However, I like to think that's because I was having such a good time that it just never crossed my mind, so that's my excuse. But I will say, getting to Miami, I flew out of JFK on July 1st, Friday, was the flight from absolute hell. I was supposed to land in Miami at 6 p.m. I landed at about 4 a.m. First we were delayed 2 hours for weather, then we ran out of fuel, then someone passed out on the plane, then when we were going to take off again there was lightning so we couldn't refuel, then there were 43 planes in front of us because of other delays, and then right as we were about to take off again, someone else passed out and people started freaking out, which I'll insert a tiny clip of.
Very long at all.
And the funny thing, it wasn't funny at the time, it was irritating, but looking back on it, it's funny now, is the entire flight, while everyone is enraged, screaming, people were screaming at the woman who was being wheeled off, who was passed out, and the pilot had to tell people, guys, calm down, someone's life is at risk. But as all this is going on, about once an hour, this happy as a clam Mexican kid asleep next to me would wake up about once an hour and just look at me and go, Miami? And I was like, bitch, we've been here for 7 hours. We're not in Miami. We haven't moved. But some other things that happened as we were crossing and driving over a bridge, we noticed someone who looked a bit mentally off. He was wearing his hospital gown, so we decided to call 911 just because he looked like he needed some help. And then we found out the next day, we found an article, which I'll show the clip of here. Apparently, it was a criminal who had escaped from, so that was interesting, but I didn't think it was appropriate to film that happening. I did finally meet up with Alex from View from the Bar, and I'll insert a little clip of all of us at the beach here, and then essentially the rest of the weekend was just going to bars, swimming at the pool, going to clubs, things that you would envision you would do in Miami, which I will point out, I loved Miami so much more than I thought I would. I thought it would be a bit more sort of Vegas-y and touristy, and there is that section of it, but the rest of Miami, at least that I saw, was sort of surprisingly really beautiful. So for my trip overall, what was bad was really terrible, and what was good was really great. So now we can get into sort of the meat of what I actually want to talk about for this video, and just as for, I guess, a little bit of background so you can understand why I want to talk about this. I'm currently in a 2-year master's program. I don't want to say the specific name of it or the school. You guys know I just don't like to give out personal information like that, but it's a 2-year master's program with an internship in between, which I'm doing right now, and I'm getting my master's in industrial organizational psychology. I'll also link the PsyOp website down below if you want to learn more. But essentially it's applying psychological principles to the workplace. But for me personally, I'm at a crossroads right now because the way internships work and the way this internship works is at the end of it, if you get an offer, you're accepting obviously a position and a job at that company. But the reason I'm very conflicted right now is I feel as if I spent so many years trying so hard to figure out exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I feel like a lot of my friends, not all of them, but a lot sort of just picked a job, and they picked a job because they knew they could make a living off of it. They knew, meanwhile I switched what I wanted to do so many times. I got my undergrad degree in psychology because I knew I loved it, and I didn't know that meant I needed to do grad school, but I switched around so many times figuring out what I wanted to do, finally settled on IO psychology. But I feel as if when you're picking a job or picking a career, there is that balance between choosing something you do because you love it and choosing what you want to do because you know it's a safe bet, you know you can get a job in that area, and you know you can make money. And I think with that balance, I've always sided on the hand of doing what you want to do because you love it, because obviously if you hate your job, that's a huge portion of your life that you're going to end up hating. But then I also have a friend whose parents are both surgeons, and they loved school, they loved their job initially, but one of them made a comment essentially that, you know, after a certain point in time, a job becomes a job. It starts to feel routine. So the more important thing isn't necessarily if you're going into work jumping for joy every day, because eventually that's going to wear off. And I don't know if that's a pessimistic view or if that's a realistic view, so I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that, about it being kind of naive to select a job or a career path simply because you think you're gonna love it for every day of your life, and whether or not that should be the driving factor or security should be. I don't know if any of that made sense whatsoever. I also noticed I spilled wine on myself, but that's fine. So essentially there's no point to this video. I haven't offered any of advice, and I don't really have a conclusion. Mainly what I wanted to do was honestly just throw a few ideas out there, hear what you guys have to say, especially from your own personal experiences. I would love to hear, you know, if you're younger, how are you deciding which type of career path you want to go down, or if you're older and you're in your job right now that you love or despise, how did you come to get there and feel comfortable with that? So I will see you guys soon. I will put the subscribe button on my screen here if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys soon.